So great. Welcome, everyone. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're here at the Old Colony Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting. So Charlie, do you typically read the statements here?
Yes.
Great. Sounds good.
So this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like this accommodation, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available on the Old Colony Planning website at https://oldcolonyplanning.org/. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for information. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Charlie. So we'll move on. Or Charlie, do you want to read the roll as well, just so we know which members are present here?
Yes, please. Representing Secretary Tibbetts-Nutt, Derek Cravatt.
Yep, Derek Cravatt here, representing MassDOT Secretary and CEO Monica Tibbetts-Nutt.
And, do we have a representative for Secretary Administrator Gulliver?
Sean Handy, Assistant Project Development Engineer, Mass DOT District 5, representing Administrator Gulliver.
Thank you, Sean. Next, John Messia, representing Mayor Sullivan.
John Messia, Director for Mayor Sullivan, City of Brockton.
Thank you. James Downey from Plymouth, representing Chairman Richard Quintal, Board of Selectmen.
Yep, here, James Downey from Plymouth.
Dan Salvucci, Vice Chair, Whitman, Board of Selectmen. No Dan's on the call, you might be muted. Next, we have Michael Lambert, Administrator, Brockton Area Transit.
Here.
Next, we have Mary Waldron, representing Rebecca Coletta, President, Old Colony Planning Council.
Here.
Chair, we do have a quorum present.
All right, thank you and welcome everyone. Move on to our next item, which is public comments. Is there anyone present today that would like to make a public comment? All right. Don't see any. So if you do have a comment at any point during the meeting, you can use the raise hand function in Zoom. If you're on the phone, you can dial *9 to raise your hand and we'll be sure to call on you. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the meeting minutes from the November 21st meeting. I'll ask for a motion and second to approve the November meeting minutes.
So move, Mary Waldron.
You? Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. And who is that? Sorry, if you could just state your name.
John Messia.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, John. Okay, motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Charlie.
Derek Cravatt,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
John Messia,
Yes.
James Downey,
I'm gonna sustain.
Dan Salvucci, Mary Waldron,
Yes.
Michael Lambert.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Move on to our next item, which is Brockton Area Transit Report. I'll turn over to Michael or Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. 3 items today. First is just a reminder that we continue to have free fares on our buses and paratransit service that runs through the end of May and is designed to obviously benefit our current customers, but also offer an easy introduction to the service to any new customers and help boost ridership during these months of typically lower volume due to the weather. Second, we have begun our capital investment plan process with a submission to MassDOT. That's a 5-year plan designed to lay out our planned infrastructure improvements over that time. And chief among those is my third element for update, which is our transition to battery electric buses. We're still on schedule to have our first buses on site here late spring. and are currently working closely with National Grid to make sure that we have the charging infrastructure in place that we need in order to run those buses. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thanks, Michael. Any questions? All right, don't see any. Thank you. We'll move on to next item, which is updates from GATRA. Mary Ellen.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So GATRA has already run their fare-free service. We did Black Friday through New Year's Eve, and we saw an increase of about 4,000 trips over our numbers from last December. So we definitely feel like that concept of doing the Christmas rush is catching on. We have started Sunday service on limited routes back in October, with the hope that all routes will be operating Sunday service by the first week in February. Our operations in Plymouth will be moving to Wareham as of February 5th. They'll be temporarily located at the Deacon's School in Wareham while we're completing building a facility in Wareham. We're also have 4 electric buses on order, but we've hit a couple of delays, so we're not expecting them until later in this fiscal year. To keep up with state of good repair, we also have 4 diesel buses, which we are expecting to get in June. And that is the report from GATRA.
Great. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Any questions for Mary Ellen? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our next update from District 5. Sean or Barbara?
Good morning, everybody. It's Barbara
Good morning,
Lachansky,
Barbara.
District 5 Planner. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Give you updates on our regional projects today. The first one we have is the Brockton intersection improvements at Center Street, which is 123 and Plymouth Street. Currently, this is at 25s. We anticipate the 75s in April of this year. Next regional project we have is the Stoughton corridor improvements on 138 from Canton Town Line to the Charles Ave. That's phase 2. And that one, we have that the PS&E were received in mid-December and is currently under review. Next is the Brockton intersection improvements at Lyman Street, Grove Street, Summer Street, including the replacement of the Grove Street Bridge. This one here, we have that the ICE stage 1 and 2 were received in November and are currently under review for that one. Eastern corridor improvements on 138, including the intersection of 138 and Elm Street. We are awaiting the PS&E submission for this project. The next one we have is the Abington intersection improvements at Hancock and Chestnut Street. Let me see what we have for this one. Let's see. This is at 25s. We need a new schedule. We have not seen anything on this one since the revised 75s came in. Kingston Duxbury intersection improvements at the Route 3 ramps and Route 3A. This was, we've had the pre-25% scoping meeting, but this one was in January of 23, and we haven't had any recent activity in this project either.
Great.
Next one we have is Handstand corridor improvements on Route 14 from the Pembroke Town Line to Indian Head Street and related work. This one here, we're still waiting for the suit to be scheduled for this project. Next one is Abington intersection improvements, Randolph Street, Richard A. Fitz Drive, Route 139, and Chestnut Street and Old Randolph Street. This one here is currently ICE. It's in the ICE process. ICE stage 2 revision 1 was completed just the beginning of January, so that one's also moving forward. And the last 2 projects I have for regional projects, Hanover corridor improvements on 139 at Main Street, Center Street, and Silver Street. ICE stage 2 was received beginning of January and is currently under review. And the Brockton intersection improvements at 123 at Pearl Street and Stonehill Street, that one's moving along. We had a coordination meeting for that one in mid-December. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Any questions for Barbara? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is the performance-based planning, PM1 safety targets, which folks may be familiar with from prior years. Were required by federal regulation, or all MPOs are required to to update these targets and adopt safety targets. The deadline is the end of February. So Raisa Kwame from our Office of Transportation Planning is here to walk through that process and our performance targets for safety. So I'll hand it over to Raisa.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Raisa Kwame from MassDOT's Office of Transportation, and today I'll be presenting on safety performance measures. All state DOTs and MPOs are required to develop and endorse per federal regulation. Since we have presented on federal performance measures for the past few years, many of you are probably familiar with the process. As a refresher, the federal performance measures regulations passed in 2016 and include 3 overarching categories. PM1 is safety, which this presentation focuses on, PM2, pavement and bridge condition, and PM3, which is a catch-all category called system performance measures that includes improving the transportation system's efficiency and reducing congestion. So the required performance measures under PM1 are roadway fatalities, so the total number of roadway fatalities, rate of roadway fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, roadway serious injuries, total number of roadway serious injuries, so the rate of roadway serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, and the total non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. Calendar year 2024 targets, 377 for fatalities and 0.61 for the rate for the 2-year target, and 362 for total fatalities and 0.54 for the rate for the 4-year target, as seen on the screen. MassDOT developed the target for calendar year 2024 by projecting the 2023 and 2024 fatalities to be in line with pre-COVID data. As a result, year-over-year changes reflect a decrease of approximately 20% when comparing 2021 and 2022 to 2023 and 2024. Serious injuries. Calendar year 2024 serious injury targets, 2,708 for total fatalities and 4.36 for the rate for the 2-year target, and 2,603 for total fatalities and 3.91 for the rate for the 4-year target. As you may see on the screen, MassDOT developed the target for calendar year 2024 by projecting the 2023 and 2024 serious injuries to be in line with pre-COVID data. As a result, year-over-year changes reflect a decrease of approximately 10% when comparing 2021 and 2022 to 2023 and 2024. Note that MassDOT's long-term goal is zero as a Vision Zero state, but this methodology was developed to project a downward trend based on federal requirements. Next slide, please. The number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries decreased during the start of the pandemic in 2020, followed by an increase in 2021 and a dramatic spike in 2022. Based on the state's emphasis on vulnerable road users, MassDOT anticipates the 2023 and 2024 numbers to match those from 2020. This results in a 5-year average of non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries decreasing from 480 for the period of 2018 to 2022 to 445 from the period of 2020 to 2024, a 7.3 reduction. Next slide, please.
Riza, if I could just interrupt for a second, your voice was trailing away. It was hard to hear.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I can go over that again. So the number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries decreased during the start of the pandemic in 2020, followed by an increase in 2021 and dramatic spike in 2022. Based on the state's emphasis on vulnerable road users, MassDOT anticipates the 2023 and 2024 numbers to match those from 2020. This results in a 5-year average of non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries decreasing from 480 for the period of 2018 to 2022 to 445 from the period of 2020 to 2024. That results in a 7.3% reduction. The MPO is required to endorse MassDOT's state targets or establish their own by the end of February 2024. In the past, all MPOs have adopted MassDOT's targets, with the goal of contributing towards MassDOT's larger goal of improving safety and decreasing fatalities and serious injuries in all categories. Thank you.
Thank you, Raisa. Are there any questions on the safety targets before I ask for a motion or anything else that would involve endorsing targets or setting targets? All right. I don't see any. Charlie, did you want to add anything? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so as Raisa's slide here says that in the past, MPOs, I think including Old Colony, have adopted MassDOT safety targets. So I think that's consistently been kind of the staff recommendation from folks. And Charlie, jump in if I'm wrong, but I think that's the OCPC recommendation as well, right? To adopt the
Yes.
targets. Okay, excellent. So with that, I'll ask for then a motion and second to endorse the safety targets that Raisa had presented.
Mary Waldron, Old Colony Planning Council.
Second, Michael Lambert.
Okay, great, thank you. Go ahead and call the roll, Charlie.
Derek Rabat,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
John Messiah,
Yes.
James Downey,
Yes.
Michael Lambert,
Yes.
Mary Waldron,
Yes,
and is Dan Salvucci in the room?
he's still having some difficulties in
Okay.
reconnecting, Charlie.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thanks everyone. We're on to our next item, which is the Transportation Improvement Program. We have a couple of projects being added here and amendments, so I'll turn it over to Bill to walk through this amendment.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have as Derek just pointed out, we have a proposed amendment to the FFY 2024 to 2028 TIP. Late last year, last month, MassDOT announced the recipients of awards through the Community Transit Grant Program, the Mobility Assistance Program. In the Old Colony region, was the recipient of several awards. So this amendment is to program in these projects. These do not affect any existing funding or programming the TIP. These are just these are additional projects through that grant program. So I'll briefly run through those. So you can see the first one on your screen there is Brockton Area Transit. They were the recipient of a award for $322,500. Next one on the list is excuse me, Brockton oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a little lost there. The Brockton Area Transit extension of ADA service area. So that's going into Avon Stoughton, and the total project cost on that is $100,000. The town of Bridgewater, their Bridgewater Cares program, they were the recipient of $238,000 in change. Old Colony Planning Council, they were the recipient of the award amount of $30,000, and with a state, I'm sorry, with a match, that is a total project cost of $60,000. And South Shore Community Action Council, they were the recipient of $150,000. So these are new projects being amended into the TIP, and I would ask the MPO at this time to consider releasing this to a public review and comment period, and then for potential endorsement at next month's meeting.
Great, thank you, Bill. Any questions on the amendment as presented? All right, Don't see any questions. So with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to release this amendment out for a 21-day public comment period.
I will leave it to somebody else to make that first motion.
So moved, Michael Lambert from Brockton Area Transit, and many thanks to MassDOT for the grants.
Thank you, Michael.
And I'll second that.
Excellent, thank you. So motion having been made and seconded, go ahead and call the roll.
Derek Bett,
Yes.
John Handy,
Yes.
John Messiah,
Yes.
James Downey,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
He is on a speakerphone. Hang on one second. Dan, do you want to vote?
Yeah, I'll vote.
Okay, so this is on the
release of the tip amendment number 2 to a
Thank
public
you.
review and comment period.
it's on the release of the tip amendment 2.
Yeah, okay.
He says yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michael Lambert
Yes.
and Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Motion
Excellent.
carries. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. And thanks for the assist, Mary, with getting Dan on the record. We'll move on to our next item, which is review and potential endorsement of revised transportation evaluation criteria. Bill, I believe this is also you. So go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is we're bringing to you today a revision to our transportation evaluation criteria that we've. This is a system that we use to evaluate all projects that come into the tip development process. So traditionally, a project proponent, whether it be a community or the state, they initiate a project, and then it undergoes an evaluation system. And we've always used this system of criteria that's called the transportation evaluation criteria. And historically, we used last several years, we've been using a system that was originally developed, I believe, by folks at MassDOT. It was a 30-point based system that evaluated projects on a variety of criteria, and then so you would ultimately end up with a score up to 30 points, and then we would divide that into 100 to get a. Actually, I'm sorry, it was an 18-point scale, and that wasn't. It was an 18-point scale, and we would divide that into 100 points into 100 to get a 100-point scale system. That system worked well for us, and that was a system that other MPOs use as well. However, as things evolve, there've been new policy directives, new philosophies in planning of projects and thinking about projects. So we have we reviewed that system, and we've developed a new system that incorporates everything that was evaluated in that old system, but then gives it scores it everything based on a 100-point system across 6 categories. So you can see, so system preservation, 30 points, safety, 30 points, and these two being the highest potential point getters. That's consistent with PM1 and PM2 that we spoke, that Raisa gave a great presentation on a few minutes ago. So, our projects, where we strive to achieve goals under PM1, PM2, and also PM3, but especially PM1 and PM2, those are generally the ones that are most attainable through programming at the regional level. So each of those are equally weighed most heavily at 30 points. And then, so mobility criteria, they can receive up to 10 points. Economic impact, again, up to 10 points. Environmental and health impact, 10 points. And then community support and consistency with local, regional, state policy, 10 points. So that gives us a total of 100 points. And if you want to go to the next screen. in the next screen. So this is an example of how this breaks down. I won't go through it all. We did widely distribute this to our extensive mailing list. Went out to several hundred people for their review. Also was also presented to JTC. So I'll just use this current page to give an example of how this works. So you can see at the top there under system preservation. So looking at the state, for example, looking at state of good repair. So if a project is going to take a failing piece of infrastructure, and presumably any project's going to be brand new. So if it's going to take something failing a poor level service, poor state of good repair, that's going to receive a maximum point level 12, and then lesser magnitude of improvement will receive lesser points. So this is a more transparent way of scoring it. So whereas before obviously we score things on state of good repair, but honestly it was fairly subjective. So this particular category would get it would get a score between -3 and +3. I mean, honestly, hardly any project ever got a minus rating, but it could potentially get a minus rating. But it was always subjective, based on the person scoring it. Whereas this is more quantitative and more transparent. And so so we have similar scoring system broken down for all the categories. So if you just want to slowly scroll through the next few pages, Sean. You can move on. Yeah. So you can see we have this system for all the categories. So the feedback we've gotten so far has been very positive. People like the 100-point system. People like the transparency of this, that it's all clearly specified. This will be a document that's posted on our website. So if anyone ever has any questions on how projects are scored, they can quickly reference this. And the intent is to score projects with the system pending approval today, starting with this current tip development cycle with the FFY 2025 to 2029 tip. We're working with the good folks at MassDOT to develop a online automated scoring system. So we can send this criteria to them. They'll develop the system, and then we can enter in the scores for each project, and that'll be maintained in the online system, much the same system as we use to developing the tip. So this is it's pretty exciting. It's we're excited about this. So if I'm happy to answer any questions, but pending that, I would ask the MPO to give a vote of approval for changing or modifying the evaluation criteria to this new system going forward.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Oh, go ahead. Yep.
That was Dan Salvucci making the motion.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Thank you, Dan. So motion to approve the revised TEC. Is there a second?
Second, Michael Lambert.
Okay, thank you. So motion now having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions or feedback on the revised criteria?
Just from my perspective, I think this is really going to be able to streamline, appreciate the work that was put into this, obviously with it being very competitive, but both between OCPC staff and MassDOT, this is, I think, a terrific process just to continue to help out. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Good job to everyone for this update. All right. Don't see any other hands. So I think with that, we can go ahead and call the roll, Charlie.
Derek Corbett,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
John Messiah,
Yes.
James Downey,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Michael Lambert,
Yes.
and Mary Waldron.
Yes,
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, great, thank you. Move on to our next item, which is administrative matters. Charlie?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have a couple announcements for the MPO and our attendees today. The first being on January 24th at 12 p.m., Safe Routes to Schools holding a webinar for municipalities. And there's a link in your staff report. I do note that we did post a link to the overall staff report, so you can get these hyperlinks. It's in the chat. Next slide. Next, we have an announcement for the Mass Trails grant application process, and note that there's a grant application due February 1st, and this has provided funding opportunities for municipalities to enhance their trail networks. It's been a very popular program. Next slide. And the Division of Ecological Resources has announced that in February that there's going to be a culvert replacement program grant available. So this is the intent of this is to replace aging and outdated culverts. And again, similar to the Mass Trails grant program, this has been a very popular program for municipalities as well. Next slide. Something important for all of us in the MPO world and the planning world in municipalities as the bipartisan infrastructure law is being implemented is how to access these federal discretionary grant programs. There's a lot of them out there. It's very competitive. It's nationwide. So special thanks to the Healy administration. They've launched a federal funds and infrastructure office. And on a monthly basis, they have a partnership meeting and all are welcome to attend. And they have guest speakers talking about grant opportunities. And it's not just from the MassDOT side and USDOT side, federal highway, federal transit. It's also EPA and HUD, CDBG, etc. And the next meeting of this special group is on January 23rd at 2 p.m. And there's a link to register for the meeting. And it's a great opportunity. We've attended multiple meetings and they have excellent guest speakers and provide a lot of information. It's our goal is to connect people with the resources to apply for these grants. Next slide. And this is a save the date for the MassDOT 2024 Innovation Conference. It's going to be April 30th and May 1st at the DCU Center in Worcester. Slide. So here we have a series of meeting dates, and we're asking MPO members and people interested in the planning process to save these special dates of upcoming MPO meetings. As you know, the MPO is developing its series of 3C certification documents, such as the TIP and the Unified Planning Work Program over the next several months, and hopefully to endorse the TIP in May and UPWP in May. If not May, it would be June. And I would make a special announcement on this list. Though we're meeting virtually today, I do note and I encourage everybody to attend in person on February 20th. This will be a hybrid meeting, but we're encouraging in-person attendance, and we're so very thankful and pleased to announce that Secretary Monica Tibbetts-Nutt will be chairing the MPO meeting in February and will be in person at our offices at 70 School Street in Brockton. So all are welcome and we hope to see you there.
Great. Thank you, Charlie.
And that's what we have for announcements. Turn it back to you, Derek. Thank you.
Great. Any questions for Charlie? All right, I don't see any. Is there any other business from MPO members? All right, so with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Dan, from Whitman.
Thank you.
I'll second Mary Waldron.
Excellent. Coming from the same part of the screen. Thank you both so much. I think we could do this by voice vote. So I think all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Well, thank you. And like Charlie said, the secretary will be there in person in February. So we're looking forward to seeing folks then, and hope you don't have too much shoveling to do today, but enjoy the snow, and we'll see you in February.
Have a great
Thanks,
day,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye all.
Happy New Year.
You too.